I rise in support of this legislation to end the atrocities of Joseph Kony's Lord's Resistance Army, and I am an original co-sponsor of the House version of this legislation. From my view, with the passage of this bill, which now goes to the President's desk, we now are in a situation where I think Kony's removal won't guarantee peace, but it certainly will make it possible in the region. I would also just add that the legislation has made it this far. The fact that it has is really a tribute to a group of young people, young professionals, who've come up here on their own time and gone to the universities around this country to organize in order to make people aware of the plight of these children in Africa. And I really thank them for that work. Mr. Speaker, Joseph Kony is perhaps the most wanted man in Africa. He is an indicted war criminal. He is a designated terrorist. Many Americans don't know his name, but the children of Uganda and Central East Africa certainly do. He's a very sadistic figure. He has a charismatic appeal to some. He heads a group called the Lord's Resistance Army, and under his 2 decades of tyrannical leadership, that group has conscripted some 30,000 children into this killing squad. And I can tell you, as the former chairman of the Africa Subcommittee, if you talk to parents in Uganda or Congo or South Sudan or the Central African Republic, the fear they have is the fear inspired by what he has been able to do. Human rights groups report that this LRA remains powerful. It has still the ability to kill and to capture children. It may be even accelerating its program of fear and mind control over children. I'm reminded of the words of a recent researcher who interviewed a boy who escaped from the group, and he reported that he was forced to kill 8 other children who disobeyed Kony's rules in a 5-week time span. Those victims were surrounded in a circle. Children were forced to take turns bashing them with a bat in a collective kill. That's 8 times in 5 weeks. But the LRA's objective remains the same as it's been for a couple generations now. Kill, capture, and resupply for its next pillage. There is no other reason for its being. Most experts agree that the removal of Kony and his top leadership would decapitate this group. Kony has long fought the government of Uganda. He has had the support of the Islamist government in Sudan for that war, which wanted to hit back at Uganda's leader for the leader's support for Christians and animists who had been targeted by the Islamist government in Sudan. Former LRA commanders report that Khartoum, that Sudan, has provided ammunition and provides intelligence training for Kony's group. More recently, there have been credible reports of the LRA gaining sanctuary in Darfur. A referendum on southern Sudan is looming next year. Unless the LRA is permanently dealt with now, you can bet that Khartoum will put this killing squad back to use again next year in South Sudan. Mr. Speaker, this civil war, originally contained within Uganda's borders, is now a regional crisis in 4 countries. This bipartisan legislation aims to spur the administration into devising a strategy to remove Joseph Kony and to remove his top commanders from the battlefield. Some targeted assistance from the U.S. could make a world of difference. I'd ask if I could
yield an additional minute to the gentleman from California.
I thank the gentlelady. The world's problems can seem overwhelming at times. It is fashionable to blame conflict in Africa on poverty and other environmental factors. But sometimes just getting rid of one person does make a big difference. History is full of captivating leaders with bad ideas who do great damage. It's a lesson I learned as chairman of the Africa Subcommittee when the Liberian president, Charles Taylor, ran a gangster regime in West Africa that brought havoc to neighboring Sierra Leone, where he pioneered this idea of using child soldiers and using amputations and using the techniques that Joseph Kony does now. And after the hard-fought removal of Charles Taylor and after his imprisonment, that region is peaceful. Mr. Speaker, it isn't an exaggeration to say that the fate of hundreds of thousands of people, certainly of 30,000 children, rest in the hands of a few men. Kony's removal won't guarantee peace, but it will make it possible. I urge the passage of this legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.